The bell above the door jingled softly as I stepped inside, dust particles floating in the warm afternoon sunlight. Whispers of Time had been my mother's passion for 20 years before she lost her battle with cancer last spring. Now, at 25, I was about to lose it as well. "Olivia, darling, there you are." Clarissa called from behind the counter, her smile as fake as the designer clothes she wore. "The new owners want to take over immediately. Be a good girl and clear out any personal items you want to keep." My father hadn't even come by to help clear out his late wife's beloved shop. But then again, he never did anything without Clarissa's permission. "You sold it without telling me?" I kept my voice calm, though my fingers trembled. "I thought we agreed to wait until—" "Until what?" Clarissa interrupted, scrutinizing her perfectly painted nails. "Until you somehow managed to come up with the money to buy it yourself. On a librarian's paycheck." She laughed, the sound grating like broken glass. "The shop was bleeding money. Your father and I made an executive decision." I scanned the shop, taking in the carefully arranged displays my mother had once put together. Each item had a story, a piece of history my mother had carefully researched. "How much?" I asked. "What did you sell it for?" "That's really none of your business, is it?" Clarissa smirked. "But don't worry, your father and I will put the money to good use. We were thinking of updating the bathroom." Naturally, everything my mother had worked for, everything she had cherished, would be sacrificed for Clarissa's constant remodeling and endless shopping sprees. I moved through the shop like a ghost, gathering the few mementos I couldn't bear to leave behind. My mother's reading glasses still sat by the register. Her favorite scarf was draped over the office chair. And there, beneath a pile of old invoices, was the leather guest book she kept since the beginning. I had always loved that book, reading through the messages left by customers about their cherished finds. My mother had insisted on documenting every sale, every interaction, weaving a tapestry of memories and connections that stretched across the years. "Oh, you're not keeping that relic, are you?" Clarissa wrinkled her nose. "That should have been tossed out long ago." "It's just a book," I murmured, slipping it into my bag. "For memories. Memories don't pay the bills, darling." She checked her watch, annoyance flashing in her eyes. "The cleaners will be here soon to clear everything out. Don't waste time." I waited until she was gone, then sank into my mother's chair one final time. The leather of the guest book was soft with age, and I opened it slowly, inhaling the familiar scent of paper and ink. My mother's neat handwriting filled the pages, each entry a snapshot of a sale. May 20, 2003. Sold Victorian cameo necklace to Mise Allen. Original owner believed to be Charlotte Bront. Further research needed. As I turned the pages, something caught my eye. Tiny numbers, written in my mother's hand, but in a different ink. They appeared sporadically, always after certain sales. I recognized the shorthand she taught me for accounting when I was young. But these numbers didn't match the sale records. They seemed like reference numbers, pointing to something else. The last entry was from only a few weeks before her passing. March 28, 2023. Sold Art Nouveau emerald brooch to collector. Provenance verified. See reference #3482. Beneath it, in shaky handwriting, "Remember the seller archive, Olivia." Some treasures can't be measured in money. My heart skipped a beat. The cellar archive, a small room beneath the shop where my mother had kept her research files. Clarissa probably had no idea it existed, hidden behind old storage shelves and accessible through a secret door. I glanced at the clock. 45 minutes until the cleaners arrived. Just enough time to see what my mother had been trying to tell me. The cellar door creaked as I descended, foam flashlight guiding my way through a sea of neatly organized files. And there, arranged by those same reference numbers, was something that made my blood run cold. My mother hadn't been just keeping records of antiques. She had been tracking stolen artwork and artifacts, documenting their journeys through history with incredible detail. Each entry in the guest book matched a file containing research, historical documents, and correspondence with museums around the globe. I snapped photos of everything, my hands shaking as I realized the gravity of what she left behind. Then carefully, I replaced the files and headed back upstairs. Clarissa was already back, tapping her foot impatiently. "Finally, find anything useful in all that junk?" I clutched the guest book tighter. "Just memories," I said quietly. "Just like you said, they don't pay the bills." She smiled approvingly. I'm glad you're being practical about this. The new owners will gut the place, of course. Make it more modern. Of course, I agreed, already planning my next steps. Change is inevitable, right? If only she knew how much change was coming. Later that night, in my tiny apartment, I spread the guest book across the kitchen table and began comparing the photos I had taken of the cellar files. Slowly, like a picture developing in a dark room, the truth became clear. My mother hadn't just run an antique shop. She had been tracking stolen treasures, documenting their history and journey with precision and care. Each numbered entry in her guest book corresponded to a file containing provenance research, historical records, and correspondence with institutions worldwide. Then my phone rang. Clarissa. Olivia, dear, the cleaners found some old files in the basement. Should we just have them thrown away? I gripped the phone tightly. No, I'll come pick them up. They're just research notes. Family history. If you say so, Clarissa sighed. Though I don't know why you're holding on to all this dusty nonsense. I raced back to the shop, my heart racing. The basement files were stacked in boxes, ready for disposal. Clarissa watched me with barely concealed contempt as I loaded them into my car. The new owners are starting demolition tomorrow, she announced. They're turning it into a high-end yoga studio, much more fitting for this location. I nodded absently, my mind focused on the documents I discovered. One file in particular had caught my eye. Details about a collection of Renaissance art that had vanished during World War II. My mother had traced several pieces through multiple owners, documenting their journey up to the present day, including, incredibly, a painting hanging in Clarissa's living room. That new painting you bought last month, I said, keeping my voice even. The Italian landscape. Where did you find it? Of that little thing. Clarissa preened. Private cellar. Quite a deal, actually. Why? Just curious. It's beautiful. She had no clue that she had bought looted art. No idea that my mother had spent years meticulously documenting its history, building a case for its rightful return. Back at my apartment, I reached out to the museum my mother had been in contact with. Within hours, I had a response. Ms. Parker, we've been trying to reach your mother. The documentation she provided is vital to our restitution case. Would you be available to meet? I thought of Clarissa's smug smile when she had sold the shop. How she had dismissed my mother's life work as dusty nonsense. Absolutely, I replied. I have everything you need. The museum's legal team wasted no time. Within days, they had enough evidence to begin an investigation into the painting's provenance. Clarissa's bargain purchase was about to become very, very expensive, but that was just the beginning. The guest book contained dozens of similar cases. Stolen artwork, looted antiquities, family heirlooms sold under duress during wartime. My mother had been documenting it all, creating a network of evidence to help return these treasures to their rightful owners. My phone buzzed with a message from Clarissa. Your father and I are hosting a dinner party next week. That painting is getting so many compliments. I smiled grimly. Let her enjoy it while she could. Justice, like the best revenge, is best served cold. The museum's press release hit like a bombshell. Stolen Renaissance masterpiece found in suburban home. Clarissa's name wasn't directly mentioned, but local gossip quickly connected the dots. Within days, her social circle was buzzing with whispers about how she had unknowingly bought looted art. But that was just the start. My mother's documentation led to a series of revelations that shook the art world. Dozens of pieces thought lost to history were traced through her meticulous research. The guest book's coded entries unlocked a web of evidence that would return millions in stolen art to its rightful owners. Clarissa, of course, was furious. How dare you? She stormed into my apartment unannounced. Do you have any idea what this is doing to our reputation, to your father's standing in the community? Interesting, I replied calmly. You're more concerned about reputation than the fact that you bought stolen art. I didn't know, she spluttered. No, I agreed. But Mom did. That worthless shop you stole. She was using it to track stolen artifacts, building cases for restitution. Every sale, every transaction, documented in that dusty nonsense you wanted thrown away. The color drained from her face. The files, the guest book. Years of research, evidence that's helping return stolen heritage to families who lost everything in the war. That was Mom's real legacy, not just selling antiques, but making things right. The fallout was extraordinary. Clarissa had to surrender the painting, of course. The private seller turned out to be part of a network dealing in questionable antiquities. Authorities were eager to investigate that connection. My father, finally shaken from his Clarissa-induced haze, was horrified. Your mother. All those years she was doing this. She tried to tell you, I said. But you were too busy letting Clarissa take over your life to notice. The new owners of the shop, faced with the public outcry, backed out of the deal. The Yowa studio plans were scrapped. Clarissa's dreams of pocketing a quick profit evaporated as the sale fell through. Instead, with the museum's backing, I reopened Whispers of Time, not just as an antique store, but as a research center dedicated to art restitution. My mother's work would continue, her mission expanding beyond what even she could have imagined. Clarissa and my father eventually moved away, their social standing in tatters. She never understood that some things, justice, heritage, truth, are worth more than quick profits and shallow appearances. The guest book now sits proudly in the shop, its coded entries a testament to one woman's quiet determination to right historical wrongs. Beside it, a photo of my mother, smiling as if she had always known how this would unfold. Sometimes late at night as I work on new cases, I swear I can feel her presence. In the careful organization of her files and the stories hidden between faded ink lines, in the justice that is finally being served. Clarissa thought she was just selling an old shop. Instead, she unleashed a reckoning decades in the making, because some treasures can't be measured in dollars, and some legacies are worth more than any price tag. My mother knew that, and thanks to a simple guest book and her daughter's determination, the world knows it too. That's a legacy even Clarissa can't diminish.